What's up, guys? I know I said I was going to do a Eagle Raver freeware video at some point, but in the process of doing that, I have forgotten where I found some of the freeware, so until I can figure that out, that video is on hold, and today we're going to look at the Strasburg Railroad by FiredUpTrainz. This is the payware version of Strasburg. There are a couple freeware versions available on the download station that are not terrible, but they're definitely dated and they definitely show it. And this is a very up-to-date version that a lot of hard work has gone into to make more current to today's standards. So yeah, we're going to take a look at that today. Now this is not a perfect rendition. There are certain limitations to trains that won't allow for a perfect rendition of Strasburg. For those of you that have been there or live around there that have seen it, you'll know there are certain things missing, such as the little miniature railroad that runs from right about up here all the way down through the train station area and out to here. So that's currently missing, but if you really wanted to, you could probably go in and add something for a representation, such as the little, like, I know in the download station there's the miniature railway stuff that you could probably do a representation. It wouldn't be perfect, but it'd be something. And then we have things like the museum over here that has been modeled. To my knowledge, it looks about like when I got to visit. I haven't been to Strasburg, and I went to Strasburg the year after I joined the Air Force. That was 2018. 2018? Yeah, that was 2018, so that's been 4 or 5 years now. It's been a hot minute, but it looks about like what I remember. Just about all of the content that you would need to make this look exactly as, say, the museum sits and the railroad, the Strasburg Railroad's freight and passenger options. Just about all of it is available either through K&L Trainz, which is what I've got most of sitting here, or the download station for free, or some other places. I personally have not gone through and gotten everything to make it perfect because I have not sat down and added my own little touches. That's what I like to do, is scenery. I like to upgrade, update, and to do that I'd have to go in here and add rails inside of the museum building, and at least up to here, so that one could see the locomotives that you would typically see from the railroad that stick out here. But it's a pretty faithful rendition of Strasburg, from my memory anyway. Like I said, I'm going entirely off my memory. I haven't been in quite a while, even though I moved up here not too long ago, and would very much like to go back. I just haven't had the time nor the finances. But it does look about like what I remember outside of the cornfields. When I got to go, the cornfields were not bright yellow. The wheat and corn were not ready for harvest or anything, and the way they've got it modeled, it's pretty much that time of the year where you'd see equipment out harvesting the corn, the wheat, and everything else around the area. But overall, it's a really, really nice rendition. You do have Strasburg's little freight operation that goes on over here, so that you can pick up and take out freight cars if you care to do that, to recreate some of more infamous scenes as of late of Strasburg steam locomotives doing all their freight work. Unfortunately, there's it's just the Strasburg Railroad. So if you're looking to like point A, point B with some of your freight, unfortunately, you really won't be able to. But it is modeled quite well. I mean, we even have our electrified lines here for the Amtrak that goes by here, and then their little set out siding here where the freight interchanges with the railroad, and then Paradise up here. That looks modeled pretty well overall, I will say. Now when you download this route, if you do go pick it up, I personally had to turn shadows off. Shadows were the massive killer for me because this is a really well detailed route, and some of you may have issues with just how many assets are loaded in. So like all these cornrows and whatnot, all the fields, the flowers, the trees, all this fun stuff might wreak havoc on your computer. It might not. It really just depends on your machine, but I know mine at first it did, which I found kind of unusual because it runs some of the other probably heavier detailed routes than this, but turns out it was the shadows. So my version here in this video is going to look a little different because I have shadows turned off to make it run smoother, because the shadows absolutely murdered. Like, I was doing good to get 15 frames a second max. So yeah, if you're having stuttering issues, you might try turning off shadows or turning down how much scenery loads in and how far away. I mean, you'll just have to play with your settings because this is a very intensive route scenery wise. So it's not very long, but it's very intense scenery wise. It's the big benefit to short routes, is you can be a little picky with your scenery. But here's Groff's Grove. Here's the halfway point. If you come do a ride with the Strasburg, you do a half-hour trip. It comes from Strasburg down here. The locomotive runs around the train, and you get out, have a little picnic or whatever. And they've got the fun little farm here that's been modeled pretty decently well with the corn mazes and whatnot. So and the best part with this route, the part that makes me so happy that so many developers miss out on, is the people. Now, there are some little irks if you zoom in, and yeah, mom's pushing her buggy here through the mud. But there's people. It makes the route look a lot more alive whenever you sit down and build up a scenario to have trains running. Maybe you just want to take pictures. Maybe you like to just set it up and let it go. Like, I love setting it up and letting it go in the background. I modified it so that there are automatic whistle points and automatic bell points at the crossings and wherever else that would be appropriate on the route, so that I can pick a spot like right here, and for the most part you can set up your scenarios so that trains will run prototypically the half hour and the hour consist. I had issues with signaling problems with the base route, so trying to set up the half hour and hour consist, if the hour long consist left before the half hour consist, the half hour consist would never get out of Strasburg Yard, because the AI would register that it was sitting at a red signal, and even though the hour consist would already be down in Paradise, the half hour consist would still be sitting in Strasburg. So I had to do some modifications to get the scenarios to work, to get a prototypical scenario to work properly. But it's not too hard to do yourself, and I know a lot of people don't do what I do. I do a lot of work on model trains, so I like to like stick it in little fun spots like this, watch the trains go by, listen to them, whatnot, while I fiddle with my trains, and the people really add into that immersion. It really helps. It makes it look more like a route rather than a layout, which I know Trainz is geared more towards the model train, the virtual model railroading scene, but sometimes, like with routes like this that are not necessarily geared towards model trains, people are really bad about leaving out people. No, there's no people. Half the time there'll barely be any cars. Like, that is my biggest complaint with the Eagle River route, is there's hardly any people, and the cars are only around the big towns, and that's it. So along the line and at your lumber camps and whatnot, it really just kind of looks dead. It looks wrong. So I really appreciate about that about this route. I love having all the people, and they're pretty much all scattered along the route where they should be. So like up here at Cross Grove, where your half hour you'd get off, kids are playing and whatnot, and obviously back here at the farm, and let's see where else. Of course, Strasburg area as well. Your platform here is got people all around, people all off in here. It looks so much more alive, so much more energetic. And they could have done, I would have done a little more over here at the museum, because I mean, it's, well, you can't miss the museum. Obviously, it's right there across the street, and it just, I don't know, it almost seems like a night and day difference. Like, all of your people are right here, and then over here it's just dead. Now, granted, I will say, when I got to visit Strasburg, it's almost exactly how the scenery was. There was maybe 5 people in the museum, while the railroad itself was pretty hopping. I will say it wasn't as packed as the route here makes it look. When I got to visit, I visited during the middle of the week on a school season on a work day, so that's the if you're active military, that's the best time to do your vacation traveling, because there is nobody out and about. I can tell stories about that all day. Like, I went to the Grand Canyon, there wasn't a soul there when I got to go, because I went during school season on a work day. It's real great if you like the seclusion, but for a typical operation for Strasburg, it's kind of off-putting, in my opinion, having nothing going on over here in the museum. I think I would have personally I would have done something. I mean, with all the freeware available on the download station that is there to use, that is pretty, either A, it's prototypical, or it's a really close stand-in to this, I would have added it, at least something, to give something, some kind of life here over at the museum, because, yeah, it's kind of a night and day difference. It's just dead. But that's really my biggest complaint with this route. To be those right there, really and truly, I got my complaints out of the way as far as how this rendition of the route goes. It's just the museum itself is dead, and the signaling on the route is kind of janky. But back here you got your storage. That's pretty well modeled. I know if you Google Earth it, it looks a little more overgrown. I have my PBR textures turned off, and when you go to download the route, it will tell you in the description to turn your PBR textures off, because it'll conflict with their splines for the cornrows and whatnot. So I turned mine off, so it'll look a little flat like this. That's easy enough to fix. Just go in and add some grass splines if you want to. I am reviewing the route that you will buy. This is not my rendition of the route. I added grass into there and cars in the parking lot and whatnot. So yeah, it's pretty cool overall. Pretty cool. They model it back to about what is it? Yeah, 1 square back past Strasburg itself, and it ends out here. Oh, that was the other thing. The Caboose Hotel. So you will have to go in here and add cabooses to the Red Caboose Motel, because there's nothing here. It's just an empty. Now granted, I do like that they modeled it for the most part. All you have to do is add in the cabooses. To my knowledge, all of the cabooses that are represented here are not available on the download station, but I do believe the specific model is available. So if you really want to be meticulous, you can go through and reskin however many you need for filling this in. But yeah, they didn't. There's nothing added here. It's just blank tracks and the motel itself. So you'll have to go in and add that. Not a huge deal. I mean, it's already modeled. All the hard work's done for you. All you gotta do is just click, 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 click. Go with it. So the gates, crossing gates, are operational, which is a nice thing with trains. I know all too often they're either already down and dinging and they stay that way, or they're up and they never move. But they are operational in the route. And yeah. All of excuse me. Like I said, all of the daily stock that Strasburg uses is available from K&L Trainz, which I have here right now. So the Canadian National 260 that they use for their half-hour consist pretty often. The 475 Norfolk and Western Mastodon, that one is available. The 060, the Canadian National 060, that one is available. And I kind of do wish that they would do some models without the steam coming out of them, or like a static model, because to my knowledge 7312 has not operated in 10 plus years on the Strasburg. So this, actually I don't think it's operational still, but it is available. And of course the ever famous 90, the 210 that they do a lot of their hourly consist with. And for those of you that have been keeping up with Strasburg, as of right now, the Norfolk and the Norfolk and Western 611 is currently housed at Strasburg, the Streamline J class 484 Northern, which I didn't put it down, but it is available for K&L. For those of you that want to run a great big 484 through here. It is quite entertaining, because quite like real life, it is a massive locomotive for this little railroad. And they also have the little reading camelback, this number 4. Unfortunately, Strasburg does not have this locomotive anymore. Well, I guess fortunately and unfortunately. Unfortunate that it is. This locomotive was Strasburg's number 1. This was the very first operational locomotive they had. This was their go-to for the first few years of their passenger operations. Like this was their little monster. This was their little guy. And then once its boiler time ran up, they just let it go. I know it sat over here in the yard for a long time. The cab disintegrated, fell apart. The whole locomotive just looked pitiful. For those of you that had seen it, it looks night and day difference now that the Age of Steam Roundhouse in Ohio got hold of it. They have given it some much needed love, but it is available. And they also have K&L did include the rusted out version of it. So if you want to do I have obviously the operational. This is the 1960s consist with the green cars and the open air on the back. But if you want to do it in 2022, if you did the 2022, it wouldn't look right with the dilapidated version here. But if you did it, I'll say like when I got to visit in 2018, you can set the rusted out Hulk sitting here. But that's available, and yeah, that's the payware stuff. I know Strasburg uses a SW diesel switcher, and that one is available, I believe, through Trainz Forge. It's either Trainz Forge or it's available on the download station. I don't exactly remember, but oddballs like that, and the oh, what else? The Thomas. Many of us have fond memories of Thomas the Tank Engine growing up, and Strasburg does have one of the only operational renditions of Thomas in the United States, built out of an actual real live steam locomotive, and that is available as freeware on the download station. And Percy is available, while in real life, all the videos I've seen of Percy have had oftentimes that have that very SW unit strapped onto the back, because Percy for Strasburg is not an operational locomotive. It's just a push around stand-in, but it is operational in Trainz, because Trainz doesn't do non-operational locomotives very well. I don't know why, but that's available. And then obviously K&L has a huge array of all the Pennsylvania Railroad stuff that you could ever want, and just about everything that the museum currently has is available for placing here at the museum, like the G5, the 460, the K4, and the M1 Mountain that sat out here for forever. GG1s galore to stick here. Even that little electric 440 thing, that little box cab, that's even available. It's a pretty old model, but you know, it is what it is. So pretty much all of the museum stock, both freeware and payware, is available. I know there's some odd stuff like the little rail bus. To my knowledge, that's not available, but you know, you can make a pretty believable rendition. So overall, like I said, it's a pretty well done route. I mean, it's very heavy scenery wise. It looks outright gorgeous overall. I mean, we can click all the way down the route. Like I said, it's a pretty short route. Strasburg's only what, 7 miles, and I think the top speed along the route is 15 miles an hour. So you're not getting anywhere in a hurry. So it typically takes 20-30 minutes to get up here to the from Strasburg here to Paradise, run around the train, and then go back. Another thing that I absolutely love about this route that they wouldn't have been able to avoid by building it, but is all the little farmhouses. Now the farmhouses, the little farms could stand to have some people added to it. I know a lot of these places are Amish homes, so I don't know if there's any Amish characters available for Trainz. I haven't looked. I haven't gotten into adding life to these little farms, but I know these little farms they're pretty well done. They're just missing the life that the big play farm in Strasburg and whatnot have. They could stand to have some update. Another isn't. It doesn't really irk me. Trainz doesn't do automobiles very well, but if you really wanted to, you could probably go through and swap these roads out for AI car roads, because there are no moving vehicles on this entire route. So I personally went through and just added like some combines, tractors, and odd places, people walking around, maybe some random places. I know like this road right here, I just kind of added a square of invisible track and put down some random cars that'll run around, just for giggles and squiggles, to kind of give it a little more life, because I like the life of a route. I like to make it look like it's alive and more realistic, but like I said, it's entirely up to you how you do it. I believe the price is $10. I obviously I'd always put the link in the description for for where you can pick this up at, but I believe it's $10. And like I said, there are freeware versions of Strasburg available, but they're definitely not this good, and they're definitely out of date. Nah, I'm not bashing them. Anybody that can build a route's doing better than I can. I am not creative at all. I can do scenery on pre-built routes, but I cannot come up with a route even if it's laid out right there in front of me. But yeah, that's out of date. But I know the freeware version, the museum's very different, and Paradise is modeled very different. I'm pretty sure the freeware route's modeled more like the 1960s version of Strasburg. The track work was a little different. I mean, the yard's still pretty much the same, but the payware version of this that is available from FiredUpTrainz is it's modeled more towards how it sits today, how it looks today. If you were to go there tomorrow, you would absolutely be able to recognize most of the scenes on this route at the real thing. So that's how it's supposed to be. Yeah, like I said, it's done really, really, really well. Now it's there are some little things. Like me, I went through and changed just because the track work is drastically better. But like if you guys remember from the Eagle River Railroad, most of the switches in the Eagle River are actual switch points, so the points actually do move back and forth. I think Strasburg, this version, uses download station track, so a little bit older model, and it's not bad looking by any means. Obviously, it's still a 3D track, but you don't have actual moving switch points. It's just a blended, you know, whatever. So I went through and changed it out for a better track to have the actual switch points. Did away with these are just place markers right here. So I did away with those because I think it looks better, but that's, again, personal preference. My computer will handle that. Like I said, with the amount of scenery that they did to this route, your computer will most definitely probably struggle to run it where it won't struggle at all with many other routes. So even though it is short, it is absolutely a pain in the butt on your frame rates, so you just gotta tinker around a bit with the settings to get it to work right. But yeah, there it is, guys, the Strasburg Railroad with the K&L Trainz content available for it. I know everybody likes to hear whistles. It's got one of my favorite little whistles out of Strasburg, the little 060. Supposedly this one is slated for restoration. I kind of look forward to it. I'd love to see it. I like watching little locomotives in operation. To me, they're full of character. Most of the whistles on K&L stuff are pretty spot on. I know the 260 changes out whistles pretty often, so you can tinker around with that how you please. But yeah, there it is, guys. The Strasburg Railroad available from FiredUpTrainz. If you don't have it, I highly recommend it. To my knowledge, it is the one and only prototypically done heritage route available for trains. I spoke too soon. I forgot about one that I got to do a video on from Approach Medium, the WK&S. I'm sorry, guys. I'm not gonna pronounce those words. I have no idea how to. But the WK&S is the other prototypical heritage railroad, but to my knowledge, this Strasburg is probably one of maybe 3 prototypically done heritage scenic railroads of the United States. And it does it really, really well. If you guys are looking for something that is modern but has steam locomotive operations, this is definitely the way to go. It's probably the most famous outside of someplace like the Durango at Silverton. This is probably easily the most famous scenic railroad in their heritage railroad east of the Mississippi River. But yeah, go pick it up if you like heritage railroads. I love it. I know I get a lot of use out of it. Like I said, I like to just stick it up and let trains go while I piddle with model trains. Now we can see the gates going off. Yep. Very well done. Very well done. Excellent work, guys. If you're watching this video, for those of you that made it or had a hand in making it, I love it. Thank you for making it. Thank you for watching, and I hope you look forward to my next one whenever I do a video. I was gonna do this video last week, but weather decided to change and my voice went out the window, so I didn't get to do it last week. Now I got the time to do it today, so doing it today. Hope you guys like it. Hope you guys look forward to the next video.